Today's news includes a variety of prospect signings. We have a potential suspension coming up for Zack MacEwen of Vancouver. We have some injury updates and some updates on a few NHL coaches with expiring contracts. We'll discuss the latest coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have a variety of things to talk about in today's NHL news update. First up, the Carolina Hurricanes have forward Max McCormick on waivers, so he could be claimed. We'll find out at noon Eastern time tomorrow. The Canes right now are basically just trying to free up a roster spot for players returning from injury. That's really all there is to it. I would think it's pretty unlikely that McCormick gets claimed, because if another NHL team claims him, given how late it is in the season, he's not going to be able to play for them this year, and he's a pending unrestricted free agent as well. So he's on an expiring deal that doesn't really make sense, at least in my opinion, for anybody to claim him. And he's kind of a fringe NHL player, and I don't really know if there'd be much interest anyhow. So the Canes essentially will be able to assign him to the taxi squad afterwards, or to the minor, whatever they want to do. But obviously, it just frees up a spot. He likely doesn't get picked up, and we go from there. Now, as I mentioned, the Canucks forward Zack MacEwen is facing a potential suspension. He will have a hearing later today, I believe, with NHL Players Safety for kneeing against Edmonton Oilers defenseman Darnell Nurse, which happened in last night's NHL action. Now, based on what I've seen of the play, I'm surprised he's even having a hearing. Player safety has been very difficult to understand and predict here lately. Of course, we've had the whole Tom Wilson situation, which I don't want to get into again. We've talked about it to death here, but still, like, it's really hard to gain any kind of consistency when things like this are taking place. Now, I only seen bits and pieces of the Oilers-Canucks game last night because I was watching the U18 World Championship final between Canada and Russia. I was mostly watching that game later into the evening, so I only kind of flipped back and forth between Edmonton and Vancouver a little bit during the break. So the play that I believe it was is MacEwen and Nurse kind of got tangled up. It didn't really look like much of anything to me. MacEwen was called for a penalty on the play, I believe, so like it's not really anything that I would deem suspension, really, at least I don't think. I guess we'll have to wait and see what player safety has to say, but if a guy like Tom Wilson's only going to get a fine, and this is actually having a hearing, like it seems confusing to me, unless there's something I missed and it was something different. But the play that I believe it was on the highlights that I was watching didn't look like much of anything to me, but we'll see what player safety says here later on, and we'll confirm likely in the next video. Now, as I mentioned, we have some other updates here as well regarding some NHL injuries. I know Montreal Canadiens prospect Ryan Poehling is unfortunately done for the season due to injury. I know he was somebody who they could have possibly called upon in the playoffs, but they do have a lot of bodies. Really boils down to injuries, I guess. But he certainly put in another solid year in the minors, developed a fair bit, made some good progress. So we'll see how he fits into their plans into the future here. I mean, he came in, had a terrific NHL first game, and of course hasn't really had much NHL action ever since then, but he's been putting in the time, getting the seasoning in the minors, and unfortunately his season's over, but we'll see what things bring for him next year and beyond. Boston Bruins had a surprise player show up at practice today, and that's forward Ondrej Kase, who has missed a ton of time, and he apparently could be ready to play as early as next week. He won't be ready to play probably for at least another game or two, is what we're looking at here. Needs to get a few practices in, but that's certainly another player. If he can be healthy and produce, that would be a huge boost for the Bruins, who have already been playing well lately. The Taylor Hall trade at the deadline's worked out well. Curtis Lazar's worked out well. Krejci's been, motivated to doing better. Even Jake DeBrusk got a goal last night. That could be another big boost for the Bruins if Kase can actually stay healthy and play and contribute. So we'll see how that goes, but he could be back in the Bruins lineup here sometime in a few days. Before we jump into the rest of the news, I just want to take a quick second here and acknowledge our channel sponsor. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscape. Of course, with Manscape, we have a special offer here for all Top Shelf Hockey viewers where you can get 20% off and free shipping on all orders at manscaped.com. Now, of course, Manscaped just launched a brand new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is a fantastic product. They've taken the level up here, even again with the skin-safe replaceable blades. It's waterproof, it's wireless charging, has a travel lock on it, as well as a nice light so you don't miss what you're doing. So certainly a terrific product. Now, many people associate Manscaped with their trimmers, which is certainly kind of their top product, but they do have a lot of other great options as well, including what they call the Weed Whacker, which is another trimmer for your ears and nose. And they have a variety of deodorants and sprays as well, which also keep you fresh and are terrific as well. So certainly Manscaped has a lot to offer, and we certainly highly recommend all of their products. So check out manscaped.com and use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. Now, as I mentioned as well, we have a variety of NHL prospects that have signed contracts today. Let's kick things off with the New Jersey Devils signing prospect goaltender Nico Daws from the OHL's Guelph Storm. I also had a chance to play with Team Canada in the World Junior Championships this past year in the Edmonton bubble for the 2020 championships. So Daws gets his 3-year entry-level contract. Pretty good-sized goaltender, 6'4", around 200 pounds. Obviously, where he played in the OHL, didn't really get a chance to play in that league this year. So besides the World Juniors, I believe he did play a little bit over in Europe. So be interesting to see what the next steps are for Nico Daws, but another interesting goalie prospect there in the Devils organization. The Flyers have signed 2020 5th-round pick and 19-year-old Elliot Desnoyers from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Played a couple of seasons with the Moncton Wildcats. This past year, he was part of the Halifax Mooseheads team, but has certainly been progressing nicely in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League and gets his ELC with the Flyers here officially on the books. The Chicago Blackhawks have signed a pick from way back in 2017, a 5th-rounder, Jakub Galvas, who is a left-shot defenseman from the Czech Republic. He's been playing over in Europe. Looks though he's more of a stay-at-home type of defenseman, and he's under contract now. I'm not sure if he'll make the jump to North America this coming season or what the plans are for him here as of yet. The Pittsburgh Penguins have signed a left winger from Finland, Valtteri Puustinen, who's a 21-year-old. Was originally drafted late in the 2019 draft as a 7th-round pick. Doesn't have a lot of size. He's only 5'9", 179 pounds, but he's played in Finland this past year, the last few years actually, and has put up some really solid numbers. Looks like he does have a flair for the offense here, putting up 41 points in 51 games over there this season. So it could be a very interesting late-round steal pick for the Penguins. The Minnesota Wild have also signed a pair of prospects here, including 18-year-old defenseman Damon Hunt. He's a 2020 3rd-round pick from the Western Hockey League's Moose Jaw Warriors. And they've also signed 2020 2nd-rounder, another left-shot defenseman, Ryan O'Rourke. O'Rourke played in the Ontario Hockey League for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and due to the fact that the OHL never got up and going this year, he has played 28 games in the American Hockey League this year while they were waiting to see if the OHL was going to open up or not. So it'll certainly get him a good chance to get some pro hockey experience under his belt here. So he gets his full ELC on the books now with Minnesota as well. So a pair of defensemen now for Minnesota today. Now, as I mentioned, we want to take a look at some coaches and what their futures hold. We have 3 coaches that I want to look at today. Another one that we're not going to really get into today is John Tortorella of the Blue Jackets, but certainly he's another one with his future up in the air. Many feel that he and the Blue Jackets will part ways, but as far as Rick Tocchet goes in the Arizona Coyotes, there was talk earlier in the year that he could be extended, but many feel now that the new GM there, Bill Armstrong, will go in a new direction. The Coyotes are going to finish likely here with another disappointing season, missing out on the playoffs, and certainly are, a team that's underperformed consistently, struggled with offense the last quite a long time now, and it might be time for the team to go in a new direction. Normally, you see GMs want to have their own guy, their own head coach anyway, and the fact that the GM came in with a head coach in place, quite often, unless you see a ton of success, you normally do see changes there. But Tocchet's contract's coming to an end, and the Coyotes likely are going to go in another direction, is what NHL insiders are indicating here at this point. You never know, things could change, but I'd be surprised. Like I said, it's been there. He's been there long enough now. We haven't seen a ton of improvement, and the GM's going to want to have his own guy behind the bench and set up his own staff. So hard to say what happens next for Rick Tocchet, but he's been around the NHL a long time as a player and as a coach now for a long time as well. So we'll see what opportunities might come up for him. Wouldn't be shocking if he gets another assistant coaching role or something to that effect. And you can't help but wonder too about Rod Brindamore in Carolina as well as Travis Green in Vancouver. Both have been rumored to be working on contract extensions with their organizations, but yet we still are in a situation here where nothing is announced. When it comes to Green, it's believed that he's making around $1 million a year right now, and that puts him near the bottom of the league, and that he would like to be bumped up to around at least 2 to 2.5 range. I think it was Pierre LeBrun saying that 2.5 or somewhere close to that would probably get the extension done. So it does appear from what people are saying that it is just an issue of the Canucks not offering enough at this point. I know about 2 weeks ago there were reports saying that things seem to be getting close, trending in the right direction, and that they thought there could be an announcement coming very soon, but yet we still have nothing here. So we'll have to see what happens, but many believe that the organization wants him to stay and that he wants to stay. It's a matter of getting the money figured out. So we'll have to wait to be seen on that one here. And as far as Rod Brind'Amour goes, we had indicated before that there was rumors that he wants his entire staff, and including the equipment staff, training staff, everybody looked after, because they're all on expiring contracts, and many feel that the Brind'Amour contract itself might actually be done, that he just wants to wait and sign once the other stuff gets done, and that he's kind of waiting to see how that all plays out. But he's certainly going to be a guy that's watched closely for sure, given the fact of how much success that Canes team has had this year. And there's going to be other openings, including Seattle, and a guy like Ron Francis there that knows him very well. So we'll see what happens with the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, like the Green situation, it's believed that they'd like to keep him. He's been a terrific coach and a great job, and he wants to stay as well. It'd be weird really seeing him with another organization, but at the end of the day, they have to negotiate the deal and get it done. But we'll have to see if things work out. Hopefully it does, for all of their sake, because that team has been trending in the right direction now the last few years. So that is all your news updates for now. I'll be back later with another video as well, so stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you stick around and subscribe. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news from around the entire NHL. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.